I need you to listen to me. This isn't how it looks.
How can you say that? It looks exactly like what everyone warned me about.
I overheard my son telling his wife, "Just take everything from her. She won't even notice until it's too late." They were in my kitchen, in the house I'd owned for 47 years, planning how to steal from me. And they had no idea I was standing right outside the door, listening to every single word. But here's the thing they really didn't know. I'd already moved every asset, every account, every investment, every penny. 3 weeks earlier, I'd emptied everything and put it somewhere they'd never find it. So when they finally made their move, when they tried to help me by taking control of my finances, when they showed up with their lawyer and their paperwork and their concerned faces, they were going to find exactly nothing. And I was going to watch their faces when they realized I'd outsmarted them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how this all started, because you need to understand how a mother goes from trusting her son completely to standing outside her own kitchen door, listening to him plot against her. My name is Helen. I'm 75 years old. I've been a widow for 12 years, ever since my husband Richard died suddenly from a heart attack. He was 68. We'd been married for 43 years. After Richard died, I was lost, completely lost. He'd handled all the finances, all the investments, all the business. I'd worked as a teacher for 30 years, but Richard was the one who managed our money, made it grow, built our retirement. When he died, I inherited everything. The house paid off, his life insurance, $200,000, his retirement accounts, another $300,000, our joint savings, about $100,000 more. $600,000 total. That's what Richard left me. Enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life, he'd said. Enough to never worry about money. And I didn't worry because I had my son, Marcus, my only child. And Marcus, he was good with money. He worked in finance, made good money himself, had a nice house in the suburbs with his wife Amanda and their 2 kids. After Richard died, Marcus offered to help me manage everything. "Mom, you don't know anything about investments," he'd said. "Let me help you. I'll make sure you're taken care of." And I let him, because he was my son, because I trusted him, because I was grieving and overwhelmed and grateful to have someone take that burden off my shoulders. That was my first mistake. At first, it was small things. Marcus set up online banking for me, helped me organize my accounts, showed me how to check my balances. He was patient and kind and helpful. Then he suggested we add him as a joint account holder, just in case something happens to you, Mom, so I can access the accounts if there's an emergency. It made sense. He was my son, my only family, my emergency contact. Of course, he should have access. So I added him. Then he suggested moving some of my money into investments he managed at his firm. "You're getting almost nothing in that savings account, Mom. Let me put it to work for you. I'll take care of everything." And I let him, because he was good at this, because he knew about finance and I didn't, because he was my son and he loved me and wanted to help me. That was my second mistake. For the first few years, everything seemed fine. Marcus would send me quarterly reports showing how my investments were doing. The numbers always looked good, growing steadily. I was impressed. My son was taking care of me, just like Richard would have wanted. I lived simply. My teacher's pension covered my monthly expenses with a little left over. I didn't touch the money Richard left me. That was my safety net, my security, my legacy to pass on someday. Marcus and Amanda would visit every few weeks, bring the grandkids, we'd have dinner. It felt like family, like I wasn't alone. But looking back now, I can see when things started to change. It was about 5 years after Richard died. Marcus started talking about how expensive everything was getting. His mortgage, the kids' private school tuition, Amanda's car payment. He never asked for money directly, just mentioned it. Casual complaints about how tight things were. Then one day, he asked if I could help with my grandson's college fund. Just a contribution, Mom, $5,000. It would mean so much to Tyler. $5,000. I had hundreds of thousands. What was $5,000 to help my grandson? So I said yes. Then it was $10,000 for my granddaughter's braces, then $15,000 when Amanda's car died and they needed a new one, then $20,000 for a down payment on a vacation rental property that would generate income for the family. Each time, Marcus assured me these were good investments in our family's future. Each time, I said yes, because what else was I going to do with the money? I couldn't take it with me, and they were my family. But then I noticed something. The quarterly investment reports stopped coming as regularly. When I asked Marcus about it, he'd say, "Everything's fine, Mom. The market's just volatile right now. Nothing to worry about." But I worried anyway. Something felt off. Last year, Marcus started bringing up moving. "Mom, this house is too big for you. All these stairs. What if you fall? What if something happens?" I loved my house. Richard and I had bought it when Marcus was 2. We'd raised him here. Every room had memories. The kitchen where we'd had breakfast every morning, the backyard where Marcus had played, the bedroom Richard and I had shared for 40 years. "I'm fine here," I told Marcus. "I'm not ready to leave." He'd get this look on his face, frustrated, disappointed, like I was being difficult. "At least think about it," he'd say. "You could move into a nice assisted living place, make friends, have help if you needed, and we could sell this house and invest the money." Invest the money. Those words stuck with me. Not, you could use the money for your care. Not, you'd have financial security. We could invest the money. We, not me, we. That's when I started paying closer attention. 3 months ago, I got a letter in the mail from my bank, a form letter about changes to their online banking system. It included instructions for logging in to verify my accounts. I'd never actually logged into my online banking myself. Marcus had always handled it. But I had the information, the username and password he'd set up for me, written in a little notebook he'd given me just in case. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was that nagging feeling that something was wrong. Maybe it was the way Marcus had been pressuring me about the house. Maybe it was just intuition. But that afternoon, I sat down at my computer and logged into my bank account. The checking account looked fine, about $8,000. That made sense. But the savings account that should have had at least $50,000 in it from years of my pension accumulating, $2,300. I stared at the screen, refreshed it. Maybe I was looking at the wrong account. Maybe I'd logged into something else by mistake. But no, there it was. My name, my savings account, $2,300. Where did the money go? I clicked on the transaction history, started scrolling back. Months and months of transfers. Transfer to Marcus Thompson. Transfer to Marcus Thompson. Transfer to Marcus Thompson. Over and over and over. My hands started shaking. I opened a new tab, logged into the investment account Marcus had set up for me 5 years ago, the one where he'd moved most of Richard's life insurance money and retirement savings. Balance, $47,523. The account that should have had over $400,000 in it. $47,000. I couldn't breathe. Actually couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight. My vision went blurry. Where was my money? I clicked on transaction history. More transfers to Marcus. More withdrawals. More moves to accounts I didn't recognize. And then I saw it. A note on one of the transfers from 6 months ago. Management fee. MT Investment Services. Management fee? Marcus had never mentioned charging me fees. I kept scrolling. More management fees. Thousands and thousands of dollars in management fees, charged quarterly for 5 years. My son had been charging me to manage my own money. And that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was all the withdrawals, all the transfers out. Hundreds of thousands of dollars moved out of my accounts over the past 5 years. Some of it I recognized. The money for Tyler's college fund, the money for Sophia's braces, the money for Amanda's car. But there was so much more. Withdrawals I didn't remember approving, transfers I'd never been told about, money just disappearing. I sat there for 3 hours going through every transaction, every statement, every transfer, building a picture of what my son had done. Marcus hadn't been helping me, he'd been stealing from me, systematically, carefully, for years. By the time I finished, I'd calculated that over $400,000 was gone from my accounts. Out of the $600,000 Richard had left me, only about $60,000 remained, spread across multiple accounts, hidden in investments that were probably worthless. My son had stolen over $400,000 from me, and I'd let him do it because I trusted him. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through everything I discovered. $400,000 gone. My security, my safety net, the legacy Richard had worked so hard to leave me. All of it stolen by our own son. Part of me wanted to call Marcus right then, scream at him, demand answers. But another part of me, the smarter part, knew that wouldn't help. If I confronted him directly, he'd have explanations, excuses. He'd tell me I didn't understand finance, that the money was invested elsewhere, that he was protecting me from market volatility. He'd make me doubt myself, question what I'd seen. And he'd probably move the rest of the money before I could do anything about it. No. If I was going to fix this, I needed to be smart, careful. I needed proof, and I needed to protect what little I had left. The next morning, I called my bank, asked to speak to a manager, told them I wanted to review all the authorizations on my accounts. The manager, a nice young woman named Sarah, pulled up my information. "It looks like you have Mr. Marcus Thompson listed as joint account holder and power of attorney on all accounts," she said. "Can I remove that?" I asked. "Of course, Mrs. Thompson. You're the primary account holder. You can make any changes you'd like." That afternoon, I went to the bank in person. I removed Marcus from all my accounts, changed all my passwords, set up alerts for any transactions over $100. Then I opened new accounts at a completely different bank, accounts Marcus knew nothing about. And I transferred every remaining penny from my old accounts to the new ones. $63,842. That's all I had left of Richard's legacy, less than 11% of what I'd started with. But it was mine, and Marcus couldn't touch it anymore. Next, I called a lawyer, not Marcus's friend who'd helped me with Richard's estate, someone independent, someone Marcus had never heard of. His name was Robert Chen. He specialized in elder financial abuse. "Tell me everything," Robert said when I arrived at his office. So I did. I showed him the transaction histories I'd printed out, the withdrawals, the transfers, the management fees, the pattern of theft stretching back 5 years. Robert listened, taking notes, his face growing grimmer as I talked. "Mrs. Thompson," he said when I finished, "what your son has done is called financial exploitation of an elderly person. It's a crime, a serious crime." "Can I get the money back?" I asked. He hesitated. "We can try. We can file a civil suit against him, but these cases are complicated. If he spent the money or invested it and lost it, there may not be anything to recover." My heart sank. "However," Robert continued, "what we can do is make sure he can't take anything else from you. And we can potentially press criminal charges, which might force him to make restitution." Criminal charges against my own son. "I need to think about it," I said. "Take your time," Robert said gently. "But in the meantime, make sure all your assets are protected. Don't tell him what you've discovered, and if possible, get proof of what he's planning to do next. Get proof of what he's planning to do next." Those words stuck with me because I had a feeling Marcus wasn't done. He'd taken most of my liquid assets, but there was one big thing left: my house. The house was worth at least $600,000 in today's market, maybe more. It was paid off, in my name only, and Marcus had been pushing me to sell it. That's when I realized he wasn't done stealing from me. He was just moving on to the next target. I spent the next 2 weeks being very, very careful. I acted completely normal around Marcus. When he called to check on me, I was pleasant. When he visited, I served him coffee and asked about the grandkids. I didn't let on that anything had changed, but I was gathering evidence and I was preparing. Robert had helped me understand what I needed: documentation, proof, hard evidence that Marcus intended to defraud me. So I waited, and I watched, and I prepared for what I knew was coming. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. Marcus called and asked if he could come over that evening. "Amanda and I want to talk to you about something important." "Of course, sweetheart," I said, my voice warm and unsuspecting. "Come for dinner. I'll make that pot roast you love." After I hung up, I called Robert. "They're coming tonight," I said. "I think this is it." "Are you ready?" he asked. I looked around my kitchen. at the small recording device Robert had given me, now hidden in the fruit bowl on the counter, at my cell phone positioned on its charger, set to record audio, at the papers in my folder, the evidence I'd gathered, tucked away in my bedroom. "I'm ready," I said. Marcus and Amanda arrived at 6:30. I greeted them warmly, hugged them both, ushered them into the dining room where I'd set the table with my good dishes. We made small talk through dinner. Marcus asked about my health. Amanda commented on how nice the house looked. I asked about Tyler and Sophia. Everything perfectly normal, perfectly pleasant. But I could see it in their eyes, the nervousness, the way they kept glancing at each other. They had something to say, and they were working up to it. Finally, over dessert, Marcus cleared his throat. "Mom, Amanda and I have been talking about your situation." "My situation?" I asked innocently. "Living here alone," Amanda said, jumping in this big house. "We're worried about you." "That's sweet of you to worry," I said, "but I'm fine. I've been managing just fine." "But you're not getting any younger, Mom," Marcus said. His voice had that edge to it, that tone that said he'd already decided what was best for me. "What if you fall? What if something happens and no one's here to help?" "We've been looking at some wonderful assisted living communities," Amanda said, pulling out a brochure from her purse. "This one is beautiful. It has activities, a dining hall, medical staff on site 24 hours a day." She slid the brochure across the table to me. I picked it up, pretended to look at it. "It looks nice," I said, "but it must be expensive." "That's the thing, Mom," Marcus said, and here it came. I could feel it. "If you sold this house, you'd have more than enough to afford a place like this. In fact, you'd probably have money left over." "Money left over," I repeated, keeping my voice neutral. "And here's what we were thinking," Amanda said, leaning forward. "We could help you with the whole process, selling the house, finding the right community, moving your things. We'd take care of everything." "That's very generous," I said carefully. "More than that," Marcus said. "We could handle the finances too. You wouldn't have to worry about any of it. We'd sell the house, set up your payments to the assisted living place, manage the rest of the money so it lasts." Manage the rest of the money, just like he'd managed the $400,000 he'd already stolen. "I don't know," I said, playing my part perfectly. "This house means so much to me. Your father and I built our life here." "Mom," Marcus said, and now his voice was firmer, "you have to be practical. You can't stay here forever. Better to make this decision now while you're still capable of making it than to wait until something happens and we have to make it for you." There it was, the threat, barely veiled. "Make the decision now while you're still capable, or we'll have you declared incompetent and make it for you." "Let me think about it," I said, keeping my voice soft, uncertain, playing the confused elderly woman they clearly thought I was. "Don't think too long, Mom," Marcus said. "These things take time to arrange. The sooner we get started, the better." They left shortly after, both of them hugging me, telling me they loved me, that they just wanted what was best for me. I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, my heart pounding. Then I went to the kitchen, retrieved the recording device, and played back what it had captured. Every word, crystal clear. I had them. But that wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed to hear them admit what they were really planning, what they intended to do with the money from my house. So I did something I never thought I'd do. The next week, when Marcus called to say he was stopping by to bring me some groceries, I told him to let himself in with his key. I'd be upstairs resting. Instead, I was in the small bathroom just off the kitchen, waiting, listening. Marcus arrived 20 minutes later. I heard him come in, put the grocery bags on the counter. Then I heard another voice, Amanda. She'd come with him. They started putting the groceries away. Normal sounds, normal conversation. Then Marcus said, "She's probably asleep. Let me check." I heard him walk toward the stairs, call up softly, "Mom, you awake?" I didn't answer. I held my breath. He came back down. "She's out. Probably took one of those sleeping pills. She'll be asleep for hours." "Good," Amanda said. "We need to talk about this, for real this time." My heart started pounding so loud I was afraid they'd hear it. "I don't know if we can convince her to sell," Marcus said. His voice was different now, frustrated, angry, not the patient, concerned son voice he used with me. "She's being stubborn about it." "Maybe we need to push harder," Amanda said. "Talk to her doctor. See if we can get him to say she's not competent to live alone anymore." "Her doctor?" Marcus asked. "Yeah, doctor's orders carry weight. If her doctor says she needs assisted living, she can't really argue." "But her doctor will never say that. She's healthy, sharp as a tack." "Then we find a different doctor," Amanda said, and my blood ran cold. "Someone who'll say what we need them to say. People do it all the time. Declare elderly parents incompetent, get power of attorney. It's not that hard." There was a pause. Then Marcus said, "That feels extreme." $600,000, Marcus. That's what this house is worth, probably more. And she's just sitting on it while we're drowning in debt. Your business lost money for the third quarter in a row. We're behind on our mortgage. Tyler's college tuition is due in 3 months, and we don't have it. We need this money. My business lost money. That's why he'd been taking mine. His investments weren't doing well, so he'd been using my money to cover his losses, to maintain his lifestyle, to pay for his kids' private schools and his big house and his wife's expensive car. He'd been stealing from me to fund his failures. "I know," Marcus said. "Believe me, I know. But Mom's not stupid. If we push too hard, she'll get suspicious." "She's already suspicious," Amanda said. "Haven't you noticed the way she's been acting lately? Different, less trusting." My heart stopped. They'd noticed. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. "I don't know, just a feeling, the way she looked at us at dinner, like she was studying us, like she knew something." There was a long silence. Then Marcus said, "You think she knows about the accounts?" "I think we need to move fast before she figures anything out, if she hasn't already." "How?" Marcus asked. "How do we move fast?" "Just take everything," Amanda said, and her voice was cold, actually cold. "You're on all her accounts. You have power of attorney. Just transfer everything to our accounts. The house we can deal with later, but at least secure what's liquid." "She'll notice." "So what? By the time she figures it out, the money will be gone. What's she going to do? Sue us? She's 75 years old. Even if she tries, we'll drag it out in court until she's dead. These things take years." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. She'd actually said it. My daughter-in-law had actually said to just wait until I was dead. Amanda, Marcus started. Don't Amanda me, she snapped. We've been too soft about this. Your mother is sitting on a fortune while we're struggling. You've earned that money. You've taken care of her for years. You manage her investments. You visit her. You bring her groceries. That money should be yours. I know, but... No buts, Amanda interrupted. Tomorrow you go to the bank and move everything. All of it. Every account, transfer it all to our accounts. We'll worry about the house later, but at least we'll have something to work with. What if she calls the bank? What if she tries to stop it? Tell them she's getting confused, that she called you worried someone was stealing from her because she couldn't remember her transactions. Tell them you need to temporarily move the funds to protect her from fraud while you investigate. They'll believe you. You're her son. You're on the accounts. The plan was so clear, so calculated, so completely heartless, and I'd heard every word. Just take everything from her, Amanda said. She won't even notice until it's too late. They kept talking for another 15 minutes, planning exactly how to execute their theft, how to spin it if I questioned them, how to eventually force me into assisted living and take control of the house. Every word was captured by the recording device in the fruit bowl. Every word was evidence. Finally, they left. I heard Marcus's car start, heard them drive away. I stayed in that bathroom for another 5 minutes, just trying to breathe, trying to process what I'd heard. My son wasn't just stealing from me. He was planning to take everything, systematically, deliberately, and he was going to use my own vulnerability as a weapon against me. But here's what they didn't know. Here's what they couldn't know. I'd already moved everything. 3 days ago, with Robert's help, I'd transferred the last of my liquid assets to a trust, an irrevocable trust with Sarah Chin, Robert's sister, as the trustee, a woman Marcus had never met, a trust he didn't know existed. Every penny was protected, beyond his reach, beyond his power of attorney, beyond anything he could touch. And the house? I'd already signed papers to transfer it to the trust, too. The deed transfer was being recorded next week. By the time Marcus tried to make his move, the house wouldn't even be in my name anymore. He was planning to take everything from me, but there was nothing left to take.